presentation will be about mocking AJAX requests, and just for today's event, I wrote a small application about hiking. That's how happy people driving to the trail look like. That's what I generated from the text. Yeah, you see that there is a hand from the rucksack. Okay, so, and in that universe, there are people who really like hiking and they go there on taxi. So the driver drives them. They don't cook themselves. They order some lunch in a restaurant. Yeah, they prefer, I don't know, watching TV series while taxi driver drives into the trail, and then after hiking, they go to hotel resting, and next day they, I don't know, go working or resting. Okay, and so I want to show you the application, and yeah, enjoy the hike. Let's call it like that. So as you see, we have a weather forecast for today's date for 3 places: Limassol, Paphos, Trodos. And what is the usual flow of, I don't know, person who want to go hiking? He choose a place. Let's choose Limassol. Click on it. Wait for weather forecast request finish, and let's choose the Saturday. It's cloudy. Yeah. So we choose Saturday. We set filter like place Limassol. Let's leave the difficulty low. It is the minimum difficulty. Remove this monthly path checkbox, and let's change a bit dates. For example, that. And let's go searching it. Great. As you see, we got some hikings. It's like, I don't know, when you're trying to book a hotel from a travel agency, the same you book here a hike. Let's see some options. Yeah, so we choose medium level, 300 meters. Okay, we can do it. And let's choose the expensive one. So it will be it's AJAX porridge for 18 euro. You will be in Avlida hotel, and taxi will be economy, and they're on 2nd of April. Okay, let's order it. You see some loading, and great, we booked a hike. Let's go to my booking section. You see that your lunch is AJAX porridge. It will be on 2nd of April. The taxi will pick you at 9 a.m. in the morning, and plate number will be BAC 909. Great. So we just ordered a hike. Perfect. And that's the application, but it's not the point of this presentation. It's just the application on which I will show you how mocking requests work. Okay, great. Let's go to Find Trail and to our presentation. Okay, so we defined who happy people are and what universe we live, and let's think about what could go wrong and what cases we should check while developing this application. First one, I guess you see that it should support all types of forecasts. So all icons for weather should be present, and if weather service returns us thunderstorm, so it should work, and the QA should see that it's reflected in our application. But what if server returned an error to us? We should somehow handle it and maybe write that, yeah, sorry, we got an error from a service, try again later, and maybe make it in red color, right? Or maybe trails could be not found, so you set parameters like difficulty hard, set wrong date, and no trail found. Yes, we should anyway check it and somehow handle. Or booking could take a lot of time. So if you book a hike, maybe the taxi driver is in, I mean, yeah. So for example, when you book a hike, probably you need some time to find a driver taxi, to book a hotel, to book a dish in restaurant. So it could take time. I need somehow to render loading button in the booking section and show that, okay, we are in process of booking, wait, we will show you a notification after it will be finished. Right, and many other cases. Right. Okay, that section is for QA and developers. So QA should check all these cases, developers should make them right. And yeah, so imagine that this application is not so simple as you see. Imagine that application is made by big tech company and backend is quite complex. And that means that you have probably teams of front-end and backend developers. And in big companies, front-end guys do not deploy usually a server locally because it is hard, it's time-consuming, it's much faster and better just to ask backend guys, please deploy this server to testnet, and we will start making requests to it. That's simple, it works, so at least in our company. And front-end guys do not worry about deploying backend locally. Okay, but how can we develop some UI feature if backend is so complex and we cannot handle it? So we cannot ask backend guys, please change your code to return us an error, or change it to make return us an empty collection of trails. Yeah. Or maybe if we want to develop the status that booking is in process, we cannot ask backend guys to add delay to the response. It would be time consuming, and it's probably will be hard for guys to deploy it for you, to deploy the server for your specific needs. Okay, let's define what is mock, because our presentation is about mocking. And so mock is not a real object. That object implements an interface of real one, and usually it is used just for current needs. So like in unit testing, you create some object, pass that object to unit test, to function, you got the result and check it. Nice. And under mock system, we will take our mocking library that I will show you later, and mocking system just mock and mock, delete and save mocks, and many other features. Okay, I hope you got an impression from what serious this screenshot is. Okay, so let's think about one moment. We have a task. We need to book a hike. While you start developing a feature, you understand that you need at least 3 or 2 IP endpoints on the backend. Yeah, backend guys already start working, but still the work is in process. You need somehow to start developing a feature, and let's just write what we want. We want to show a loading indicator when you click on order button. So it means that we are in process of booking. Then if server returns us in success message, or in process message, sorry, it means that the booking is in process and server trying to handle the request. So we want to do here an optimistic update and put some half-ready data in my booking section. After that, even if you don't go to my booking section, we start polling the status of that hike. So you start periodically send request to server. It should respond to you anyway, maybe in 3-4 requests that your booking is successfully done, and you can, I don't know, show notification that, yeah, we booked a hike for you, or error if something went wrong. Okay, so that's a feature. And let's think how to do it. First option, you can deploy backend locally. I don't know how to describe the difficulty of this option, but usually it is hard. I was working in previous company as a full stack developer, and my first task as junior developer was to deploy the whole system locally. Though I had the company support and guys helped me in my team, but still I wasted 1 week to deploy 30, 40 microservices. Some of them were written in ASP.NET, so it was hard. No one understood how everything is working. And the same here. So if you are working in big company, usually it is hard to deploy a server locally. Therefore, you just asking someone to deploy your the whole system, and you just do a request for it. So let's just list some points here. So at least you need to understand server-side language. Yeah, it could be Node.js, and it's great that you know JavaScript, but sometimes it's Python, sometimes it's C#, ASP.NET services, and it's hard. And anyway, if you know all these things, you need to deploy it somewhere. I guess it will be just not enough space, not enough stands to deploy your version of server. Therefore, QA cannot check what you did. Okay, let's go to another option, the medium level. You can use browser proxy. For example, Fiddler works pretty well with this. You can turn on this proxy, catch the response from server, made some changes, replace the response, maybe change JSON answer, and that actually works. So we sometimes use it, but not for AJAX requests. If algorithm of some feature is complex, so we need to have some feeder scripts, for example, that will set everything up, and you need to write the whole model there. So on first request, I return that response, on the second that, and etc. So you see, it works, but still it is not easy. You need to somehow describe that process to your QA and make it work. Okay, that was the medium level, but it's actually an option. And the third one, you can just inline the data from the server, right? So what we usually do as a front-end developers when backend is not ready or there is some bug and we cannot continue deploying our features or just testing it. So we just comment the return and write our mock data. It works, we did it, and I think everyone does it because it's fast, it's simple. You can define all mocks. You can even program the whole scenario, like on that request I return this response. In some seconds I change it status to, I don't know, to success from waiting, and that's good. So, but still this approach has some minuses, disadvantages. First one is that QA cannot use what you wrote, because I don't think that you will push that test code to production or some server and ask QA, okay, check it. If you want, you can make even change the code and deploy it manually. I'm not sure that QA will have so much time for your task and will deploy server locally. And you need to remember to clean all things up. That happened with us one time. It was not good. So you need to remember to clean everything up. And the problem here is that production code mixes with your temporary one. So you need to distinguish it. Okay, so it was 3 approaches that works, but they're still not ideal. But then how to do it? So we have a team of front-end and backend guys, and it's quite time-consuming to ask backend guys to deploy a server locally. And I don't think that you want to change server. Yeah. Plus, you can forget about temporary changes in client. So still, it is not an option, but we need to somehow deliver the feature and start working in parallel with backend. And here comes the solution. And what was our plan to implement mock system? Okay, so we should do it in DevTools console because it is easy and simple, and QA and developers can mock requests right from console. The IP should be as easy as possible. You should not try to read documentation to understand how it works. Yeah, it should be evident. Plus, after completion, yeah, do not touch backend, please. It's a long task, so you should not ask anyone to deploy a server locally. So you should use as less connections as possible. And one more feature was in our task, in our checklist, is allow to use preparing data. It means that you can, for example, do a QA automation tests and use some ready mock, just set it in console, and your QA automation test will start working. So it will start testing, right? And great. So our plan worked, and we developed an NPM package called mock-xhr-request. It's now published to NPM, and it's in open source, so you can download it, start using it. And what was our solution here? We took one library, cut internals from it, and create a wrapper for all mocking. That library wraps the Axios library and adds middleware. We need middleware just to return fake data instead of sending a request to server. And at the same time, we should inject a global variable to DevTools, to window object in browser, to allow you see after completion and just call all function by using one a mock-xhr. And let's start demo. Finally, the code. So, for example, I think you remember that I show you how our application works. So it shows you the weather for today. And that is the part of data that we used on server. It's a nice weather variable with some properties and values. So now we want here to return that object on that request. IP weather today. Nice. And how can we do it with our npm package? You need to go to DevTools console and call mock-xhr.get. Get is HTTP verb. You can use post, patch, put, etc. Then you pass URL path to the request. Then call success or error. It depends what you want. And just pass that object. So our library, as it adds middleware, it just returns you that object on your request. That's easy. And here I want to show you the example. Okay, here we go to the code. And as we see, in Limassol it is 17 degrees, clear sky, and quite strong wind. Okay, let's go to the console and start writing. But first, now if I write mock-xhr, you see, oh, yeah, you see the object. But what I wanted to show you first is the code. Okay. As you see, we import Axios, create its instance, and export. So in service functions, in service files like today weather, we just use Axios instance and do request to server. It's easy. And let's add our mocking library to the code. Here it is. So we just import wrap Axios adapter function and call it with Axios instance. That's it. That's all what you need to do to set this package up. Great. And let's go to the console, refresh the page. And now in console, you should see the mock-xhr object. So let's set a mock for weather in Limassol. First, I don't remember the URL path. I will just refresh the page, go to network and see the request for today's weather. Okay, let's go to headers and I will just copy the URL. I'm not interested actually in query parameters, so I will show you a trick. I write mock-xhr.get, set the URL path, and as I'm not interested in query parameters, so it could be anything, but you can of course set your own, so you can just copy paste from network and it will work. But now I just will use the shortcut search and then write success. Okay. So what should I paste here? I will go to response, copy one object, just one. I think our application will handle the missing data, I hope. And let's change here some parameters like 200 degrees. Oh, it's hot. Okay, let's do wind 0, humidity 20, and feels like, I don't know, 210. Great, so when I call it, yeah, you will see changes immediately. You need to refresh a page. Let's refresh a page. Oh, I forgot one thing. I need to enable a system. Yeah. Okay. So as you see, our mock worked. Yeah, one note that you need to enable mock system just once. So it will save the flag in local storage. So after refresh, everything will work. Okay, great. So we put a mock. Our library keeps all mocks in local storage, except prepared one. The prepared one will be in code. I will show you later how it works. Great. So that's it. And let's clear all mocks before going to the next slide. So you just call clear all and refresh page. Great. Okay, so that was a simple mock just for one request. But what if you want to develop that feature that I mentioned? I want to send request to server. Server should respond me that, okay, your hiking is in process. Wait a bit. We will notify you when it will be ready. Then if you receive status in process, you start polling the server. You start polling it with request, okay, give me a status. And when you finish, when you understand that the status is success, you just refetch the whole collection of my bookings. And how can I code it? So first I write mock-xhr post. I mock the post request to server and I respond with in process and some ID that's usually used for ID for booking, yeah, internal identifier. Then I mock the request status, and you can notice that I add a number after the URL path. So that means that mock will be used first in order. Then second one, I return also in process because I have a interval time 2 seconds. I want to show you how it works. And then I return success. So actually here we booked the whole backend IP. And it was spoiler. And just let's do it. Okay. Okay, so we write. Okay, let's just see the request URL. I will just search parameters and we'll try to book some hike, because I don't remember all URL path. I will just go to booking, find the post, and first we just copy it and book and mock it. Okay, mock-xhr-request. I write that and success. So the status, right? The status is in process and some ID like 998. Great. Another mocks, right? So I need to mock the get request for API bookings dot 999 status. Cool. We start polling the server, and we should also respond with in success in process. Yeah, it will be for the first request, and also I am not interested in ID of my booking, so I will just use the placeholder colons ID, and yeah, okay, let's set it, and the same for the second one, and on the third I will answer with success and trail name. It's just for notification. My super trail. Oh, great. Also, we need to do here a small trick, because I used React Query for that. And if we order a booking, if you go to my bookings, it will start refetching the all collection. So we don't want to lose our optimistic update changes. So therefore, I will just stop the request to my bookings. And that's how I will do it. So we get my bookings. I will return nothing, because anyway, this request will not be fulfilled. And let's I will delay without parameters. Nice. Okay, so let's refresh the page. Yeah, as you see, the loading in the right corner, it will spin indefinitely, because my bookings request is hung. Okay, let's search for hike and just order any hike. Right, so you see the request is in process. And if I go to my booking section, I see the booking is in process. So that way I can mock all backend and develop the UI control for, I don't know, for hike that's in process of booking. Great. Okay, so that is how we implemented the feature that I mentioned. And let's clear all mocks before going to the next slide. Great. Sometimes it's great when developer already prepared data for QA automation tests or for another developers who just want to set mocks and see the UI state. So they don't want to ask someone or do it manually to change user settings, to change some UI states and do some requests, I don't know, to count to some state of application that you want to see. And here comes another feature, the prepare data. So we can prepare the whole mock for request. Let's see. You just need to register it with our application, pass URL path, then HTTP method, status code, and data. And if you want, you can set a name for that mock, to which will be possible to reference later. And if you register that mock, you can just call from console apply ready. That's it. And let's see how it is done. We need to go to the code, and I will use some cryptic script to set a registered mock. Great. We defined a missing weather data. It is just one object in array, so we will see only the weather only for one place and for buffers. And we imported a register mock from our library and call it with these parameters. So we put a p weather today and optional search parameter, then method get status and that data. Great. And a name. Yeah, actually you can miss that line. It will be just not possible to reference to prepare data by name, but you can still reference to it by ID. Okay, so that's it. We need to go to application, reload, and let's apply the data. I don't remember actually the name, what I said, what nasty weather or today's weather, but we have some functions that will help us. So I will just call get registered mocks, call it, and you receive in the response the JavaScript object, and here all the registered mock that you registered in the application. So you can copy the name from here and call apply ready function and pass that name. Oops. Great. That's it. Just as usually reload the page and you see the weather just for one day. Great. That approach allows cool automation guy to prepare mock in application to set TypeScript types. Oops. To set TypeScript types, because you see, I type it. So you can just put all mocks in your application, register it with cool names, and allow another guys use it. So that was one way of registering mock, but I think you have maybe a question. Why my mocks are in application code? It will make our application bundle bigger, so it will load with main application bundle. Yeah, so we don't want it, especially if I have a tons of mock. Therefore, there is another way to register mock, and that option is lazy load. You need to import register mock already from lazy path and pass a function that will return a promise. So here we dynamically import weather object, weather file. And if you go to, for example, nasty weather object, so you see that it just exported. We specify here status, the name, methods, Europath. So the same approach that we did for static mock. Here we also defined a nasty weather data. Let's hide it. And missing weather. Okay, let's just use it. So we have a nasty weather. And let's go to application. First we clear all mocks, reload the page. Nice. And okay, I forgot the name of our mock, and let's again call that get register mock. And as you see here, we already have two register mock, and I will not reference it by name. I just call it with its number. Apply ready, and we want to see nasty weather, right? Okay, we call it with 1. And let's refresh the page. So you see, we got hail, thunderstorm, and heavy rain. Perfect. Again, so this approach allows you to not load application bundle with not needed code for your production. So it will be in weather folder, for example, in weather file. Yeah, 1 second. And you will register it in lazy mode. Great. Okay, let's go to the presentation. Capture the whole environment. I think it would be great if you somehow could share your mocks. Yeah. So you, for example, set all these statuses like in process, first second, and on third of finally the success. You set my bookings mock to load indefinitely, and you want somehow to share all these mocks with Koa or backwards. If Koa, for example, found a bug and wants to show you, okay, let's see how can we fix it, because I have a test user on production, I constantly change it, I constantly change settings of it, I do some, I don't know, changes in backend, so you will not have that user event for 1 hour, because I will use it quite extensively. So Kua can just do mocking and share all mocks with you. And that's how you need to do it. Just call a snapshot, and the guy who wants to see all environment need to call apply snapshot. That's easy. And let's see. Okay, let's set an error first. And no, let's first clear all mocks. And let's set an error for my bookings section. Okay, but I don't remember a path, so I need to go to network, call search. And okay, for trails, sorry. Great, so I will copy the trails IP path, call get, trails again, we are not interested in search. And let's set an error, and I have already autocomplete. Yeah, because I did it before. And let's set an error that, okay, come tomorrow, I'm too busy today. Let's set it and refresh the page. And if I press search, I get an error. And I want to share that mock. Okay, I go to console mock-xhr snapshot. I copy it, copy string contents, and let's first clear all mocks, just to show you that our application works as expected. We press search, and we see our hikes. And I will apply what I have in buffer, apply snapshot, and pass that string. That's it. So if I refresh a page and press search, I should see the error, right? And yeah, so we applied the whole mocking environment. Great. A really useful feature. Okay, so we are close to the finish, and let's just list the features of that library. So it has simple IP. You don't need even to go to documentation. You can just use after completing DevTools and see all methods that are available to you. It's open source. It's free. Yeah, you can use it. You can change it. You can fork it. You can set mocks in order and just represent the whole model of your backend. We allow using prepared data for core automation and just for developer needs if you want to mock some common cases. You can share the whole environment with another guy or save it maybe, I don't know, in Notepad. And it supports lazy load. The latest feature that we added, it works really good. So all mocks are in files and you don't need to worry about bundle pollution. Yeah, plus I forgot to mention, I think, that if you did not enable the mock system, it does not affect your requests and it is not in bundle. Great. And yeah, the questions.
You substitute XML HTTP request with your own implementation. Doesn't it feels like you have a black box like your application? It perfectly works on production with backend, but not what you do. You open this black box, you put something that should substitute well-written XML HTML request with all minor nuances that you don't maybe know, or committee changes this method, and we have another like fetch or some another method that works with network. And we substitute with our mocking system. And even on test QA run, our code, even with lazy, we inject something inside your black box. So now it's open and filled with your mocking code, with stubs and other stuff. So I'm not sure we can say that your box perfectly the same that you move to production and works with backend. So there is a real, maybe minor chance, but on this point of moving from mock to real system, it will fail. So did you consider another approaches, another competitors? Because there are some other ways on browser working with console, all other your requirements to work with network a little bit lower and not mocking the system. Why did you choose to change to mock, not to work a little bit lower on service workers and like MSV library, go a little bit down?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I got your question. Good one. Yeah, we considered actually changing service worker because we have one, and we Googled the solution how to inject mock system maybe in service worker because there are such mock systems, but we didn't come to the to the solution whether it will work okay with our existing service working and how you can merge two together. Yeah, plus using service worker locally is not so simple. Yeah, you need to dance with it a bit, and there are some minor changes, differences with production code. Yeah, and local one. Yeah, it could be. So our library doesn't support, for example, usual requests for data like usual downloading of image. Yeah, or JavaScript bundle. Sometimes it would be great if it would be possible to mock. Yeah, but I don't know, with current needs, it works pretty well. So recently we tested Google Capture with our library because backend guys said, okay, we can disable it, but we needed another option. We wanted opposite. We wanted enable Google Capture, and we wanted to hit it on some requests. It's quite hard to set everything up. And we just used mocking library. We set mocks that returns Google Capture error, and our UI just showed Google Capture. It worked. So yeah, we considered some options, but we just chose this one because it was the simplest one. Yeah.
Do you catch also like other probably XHR requests, or you just mocking like inside the Axios? Is it like do you catch all the requests like from other probably like libraries or anything that you are using like reCAPTCHA? Like can you lie to it, for example?
No, you cannot mock the request from reCAPTCHA because it is an external API and it maybe uses the same Axios library, but it uses its own Axios npm package. So you cannot mock its requests. But we had one request from another team who develops a widget. We use widgets with model federation, and we added support for it. So you can call function wrap child Axios adapter in widgets code that also does a request with Axios library. And all mocks will just start friendly to each other, and mocking will start working for external widgets, which works through Webpack model federation. But no, you cannot mock any request that, for example, uses native fetch function or native XML HTTP request. Only Axios.
Did you try to hijack the native XHR?
I saw some libraries that do it, but we just decided to use Axios because it already provides possibility to set middleware.
Yeah, just because like in that case it would work with also other libraries like request on native fetch and all that stuff. So maybe it's something to think about.
We just decided that it was harder for us because you will need to mock internal methods of XML HTTP requests in prototype. Maybe you will need to replace the whole XML HTTP requests constructor, and there is some chance that something will go wrong.
What alternatives you considered, and why exactly you decided to go this way? Because, for instance, you can do a lot of the things with a playwright. You can do traces, and this is the thing you showed with like capturing all of the environment, and you can do with traces on Playwright. On Playwright, you can mock APIs in the same way. Of course, using the Playwright for these things would be maybe a bit too much, because if you just want to mock a certain request in your own browser, yeah, using Playwright would be much harder. But it also opens the possibility to writing end-to-end tests. The same thing with the Puppeteer, with the Cypress, and all of other like end-to-end test technologies. They usually allows you to do all this stuff. And what I wanted to hear is why you considered it and why you decided to go this way.
Yeah, we use some E2A tests in our company and write it in Playwright, but I just didn't write it. And yeah, maybe it can mock the IP endpoints. Yeah, it's good. But we also wanted to use this library on production. So now on production, if you go to DevTools console, you can mock your requests from DevTools console. So you can write mock-xhr-get, first enable it. Yeah, and if there is some bug, you just mock it, reproduce it with your mocks, and share the whole mock system. I don't know, maybe with Playwright it could be also, it's also possible.
The Playwright would be more on the end-to-end side, like automated tests. So you would need to write a scenario that end-to-end test does. And in this scenario, you can say, okay, this API returns this. But you cannot, you can use this live, but it's a bit of a, like, not using the right tool for the job. Because for this specific idea, like you can mock a request on the production environment, this looks like a good one, because mock service worker wouldn't also work in this case, because like deploying mock service worker in production is not a good idea. Okay, got it.